Nelson wants to paint his room his favorite shade of red, but he's not sure what the correct shade is. And so he considers 3 different paint chips, A, B, and C. First, he compares A and B. Second, he compares B and C. And third, he compares A and C. And what he finds is that A and B are indiscriminable, which means they're identical in his eyes. B and C are also indiscriminable, but A and C are in fact discriminable. And this is what Ben Shelley describes as Nelson's predicament. So what's going on in Nelson's predicament? In Ben Shelley's paper, Noise and Perceptual Indiscriminability, Shelley argues that all perception of color is in fact inexact. He imagines colors as not distinct points, but regions, where if 2 regions overlap, then we describe those 2 colors as indiscriminable. So imagine earlier with Nelson's predicament that the color A has a certain region, the color B has a certain region, and the color C has a certain region. If A and B in fact overlap, then we can describe them as indiscriminable. So, for example, if you imagine A, B, and C such as this, we could say that A and B are indiscriminable, B and C are indiscriminable, but in fact, A and C are in fact discriminable. And this is the argument of Ben Shelley's paper. Shelley seeks to explain Nelson's predicament from 2 perspectives. The first perspective is the metaphysical perspective. From the illumination of color, to stimulating our retinas, to neural firings, to our brain's visual representation of color, every step of this process is not determinate. Every step is influenced by outside noise. The second perspective is the phenomenology perspective. Imagine you were to stare at a blank white wall. You might see a subtle flickering as your brain plays tricks on you. And this is what Shelley describes as phenomenal noise. Phenomenal noise, as described by Ben Shelley, is related to Fanon's argument in Black Skins, White Masks. Fanon describes his experience of occupying multiple bodily schemas simultaneously, both his internal sense of self and the historical racial schema, which is imposed to him by the outside world. In the same way, Ben Shelley describes 2 perspectives on locating the source of noise. Metaphysically, noise affects how our brain perceives color, and phenomenally, it is not apparent if such noise originates from the mind, from the outside world, or relations between the outside world and your mind. Go. Imagine Mary, who has lived her entire life in a black and white room. Mary, being a brilliant scientist, specializes in the neurophysiology of vision. She knows all the physical information there is possibly to know about vision. She knows how different wavelengths of colors activate different parts of the brain, and hundreds of people have described to her what it's like to experience vision. Now, imagine Mary experiences color for the first time. The question is, will she have learned something? The answer clearly seems to be yes, as she will have gained visual information. This is the knowledge argument, and it has been the fundamental debate between physicalists and dualists for decades. In his paper, Inexpressible Truths and the Allure of the Knowledge Argument, Ben Shelley argues for the validity of the knowledge argument. So, what are physicalism and dualism? Physicalism is the idea that everything is composed of matter and takes up space. Everything can be explained in terms of physics. For example, emotions such as pain or fear can be explained in terms of neurological activity. On the other hand, dualism is the idea that while the body is material, the mind is in fact non-material. Things like consciousness, intentions, self cannot be explained in terms of these physical activity. Shelley summarizes the knowledge argument into 3 main points. Point number 1 is that Mary knows all physical truths before her release into the world of color. Point number 2 is that Mary does not know what it's like to see a red thing. She doesn't have the visual experience for that. Shelley argues that points 1 and 2 imply point 3, which is there is a truth which is non-physical. The debate between physicalists and dualists has been going on for millennia. This is very similar to how Rorty describes the debate between Platonists, who believe there is an otherworldly truth beyond our natural scientists, and positivists, who believe that our current space and time is the only truth. Because again, if we're being pragmatic here, it doesn't matter. Who cares? Change the subject already.